So if you're building a home, I really emphasize a good pre-wire. So running Cat 6, to multiple places or having more than one spot. That's really important because there's this big misconception that people think everything's wireless. Wireless only works when you have a good wired network first. So to do a good wireless surround throughout your house, you're going to want to have access points. And those access points are connected together through a wired Ethernet network. It's just going to be a much more reliable connection, higher bandwidth.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli, and today's guest is my favorite real estate geek, man I have known and trusted in the industry for many years, and who apparently knows more about home automation than anyone I know, which I guess is not an exhaustive list. But in terms of actually practicing agents who have sold a lot of houses and know what they're doing and also knows a lot about home automation, our man Brandon Doyle is our expert at the top of the list. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this morning.
Great to have you on. And, I always enjoy everything that you're sharing on social about all of the testing that you've done and all of the stuff that you've figured out about something that, went from being kind of fringe to now it's ubiquitous to some extent. And I think, even as we say that, I think people would go, well, no, it's not. I don't do home automation. Well, what about the Alexa in your house? And what about, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'd love for you to first kind of explain to everybody who Brandon is, and then, share some thoughts with us about what kind of where we are in the world of home automation and what agents need to know about it.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it there. I am the real estate tech guy. So I've been into tech basically my whole life. I just kind of nerd out about it. But by day, I am a practicing real estate agent. Been doing that for 12 years. Also into marketing and business planning and stuff. And so I've written a couple of books about real estate and done some traveling and speaking. But another part of what I do is I test products. I write for Realtor Magazine. So I've now tested around 250 tech products here in my house. And so the companies do send me products for testing and I create like videos about them. And it's just really a passion of mine. So,
Yeah. And you've got a YouTube channel as well, right?
yep. So I've got a YouTube channel. It's really simple. It's just Brandon Doyle, MN, or you just search my name and it'll come up. I used to have a fancy title on there, but I figured, you know what? This is just about stuff in my life. So it's just going to be my name and keep it simple. But yeah, so I'll do like tours on there. I'll do product reviews. I'll do comparisons, but just really experimenting with the technology, seeing how it works, how it's impacting people's life. And so less on the, exact specs, but more of like, hey, here's how it actually works in your home. And here's what I experienced when I used it for 90 days. And here's what you need to watch out for. I've got a live stream coming up. We'll be talking about the Prime Day deals, how to save some money there. And you never want to pay full price for a smart home tech. It's always on sale somewhere.
Well, so let's talk about that. So if you had a client as a realtor that was buying a new home and wanted to, build some smart tech into it, or maybe some of it's already there, where do you think the line is today, of, things that are practical and make sense, but, aren't too complicated to use and, like, don't drive expenses out of the, the world. So where's that sort of middle of the road automation and technology that the average homeowner would be comfortable with today?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're building a home, I really emphasize a good pre-wire. So running Cat 6, to multiple places or having more than one spot in a room. And that's really important because there's this big misconception that people think everything's wireless. And wireless only works when you have a good wired network first. So to do a good wireless surround throughout your house, you're going to want to have access points. And those access points are connected together through a wired Ethernet network. But you want to have as much as possible. So anywhere that a device could be connected, it should be connected. So computers for sure, TVs, receivers, things like that. It's just going to be a much more reliable connection, higher bandwidth, would go on much
Wow.
faster
So,
than
so
Wi-Fi
still,
can.
still today, that surprises me a little bit that that's your advice. So still in 2024, you want hardline connections, I think you said wherever possible.
Correct. Yeah. So Wi-Fi is great, but it's limited anytime it goes through a wall. And the biggest limitation, of course, is number of devices. So as you continue to get more like iPads and extra things around your house, that vacuum, that doorbell, they're all, using up that. And so really you want to have a very robust network and ideally, run Ethernet.
Interesting. Okay. Well, what's the latest in terms of, are there packages where you can just kind of get it all in one little kit and that makes the most sense? Or is that sometimes packages of anything can be a little bit problematic? So what do you recommend to people?
Yeah.
And you said Prime Day is coming up. So when's Prime Day?
July 16th and 17th.
Oh, wow. So it's going to actually, this will be too late for that.
All
So
right. Well, for those watching the recording, the next best day is going to be the Black Friday and leading up to Black Friday. But those are the two biggest times a year to buy this type of stuff because all of the manufacturers are going to discount. And it's not just on Amazon. You'll see it at Best Buy and Target and stuff as well. But as far as packages go, it's really more of a matter of sticking within an ecosystem. So some people that are really into Google might want to go buy, the Google Hub and Nest and the doorbell and the lock that goes with that. Otherwise, Amazon is the other big one. And then just kind of sticking within those product lines or the works with those devices is really the way to go. I've curated some lists over the years of my top recommendations. And then, of course, when things go on sale, I'll maybe swap out an item or two. But you get what you pay for in a lot of instances. So you don't really want to cheap out. You want to look for some reputable brands and, of course, that work with the other products that you use. And then just focusing on things that add value.
So what do you think is sort of the next phase? Right now it's, we talked in the opening a little bit about Alexa and all that kind of thing. And I think there's a lot of people, myself included, that are a little weirded out by all of that. So what do you think is the next phase of it? And specifically, what do you think about security and privacy and all of that surrounding conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a legitimate concern. We were putting listening devices all over our homes that are definitely listening 24/7. We do also carry around cell phones and use the internet publicly. So, like, they already have the information. But for those that are very privacy concerned, I do recommend checking out Josh.ai. It's a locally ran voice assistant. So, that's actually what I use here at my house. I have all the other assistants, of course, for testing, but my preference is to use Josh to control everything. And
Ah,
as far as trends go, there's a new standard. It's called Matter. And the idea is that if you bought a product from any manufacturer, say I have this plug here, I should be able to connect this like to Google or to Smart Things or use it with the Apple ecosystem. However, the group that brought us Matter is also the people that brought us Zigbee, which is a different protocol that promised the same thing years ago, and that really never panned out because a lot of the times what they'll do is they'll put extra features that only work when you're using their products and their app. And so to access like some of those extra settings, you have to use their systems. And so if you brought it into a different ecosystem, like, yeah, you could turn it on and off, but maybe you wouldn't be able to dim it, or you might not be able to do other things. And so I don't really have high hopes for that. And in my testing of connecting Matter to multiple devices, the it's not as easy as they made it out to be. So we'll see.
Well, let's shift it a little bit to talking about the realtor perspective, real estate agent perspective. If I'm working with a client and maybe they're approaching a home that already has some things built in, how do you sort of analyze what's there? How would you recommend that to other agents to get? Is there resources that they can go to get in kind of? I guess there's not a whole lot of that. Maybe you're that. How would you recommend that agents listening to this approach a home that already has some automation?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're on the buyer side and you're at a showing, number one, just always assume that you're being recorded. I think this is just true for life in general, but especially at a showing. So I actually had a seller once that had a Ring doorbell, and it wasn't a recording. He was just waiting at the park down the road because he wanted to get back into his house. So he had it pulled up and he was like, wow, they're still in the driveway. What the heck? Well, they were talking about the offer that they're going to put in. And so they loudly discussed how they wanted to go at a certain price, but that they would be willing to go another 20,000 higher. So he knew an offer was coming before I did, and he used that against them and negotiated an even higher price. And so it's just like, wow. He had that not occurred, he probably would have accepted the initial offer. So yeah, just always be aware. And then when we see these smart home devices, a lot of people get excited about them, but do realize that they don't actually cost that much. And so if you have one house that has it and the other that doesn't, I wouldn't worry about that too much. You can always go buy that doorbell, that lock, or that thermostat you want, but also document what's there. So a lot of times the seller might think, oh, well, I paid for that doorbell. I'm just going to swap it out at the last minute, especially that thermostat. I wouldn't believe how many times people are taking the nest with them and like, well, it's mine. I bought it. Well, as soon as you attached it to the house, it became a fixture. But if you document it during the showing, and if it's something that might be personal property, like a projector or some equipment that's required to run that theater, just document that and make sure to include it in the purchase agreement. Also, make sure that they're resetting everything. So, locks in particular, for obvious reasons, you don't want to be able to just have anybody factory reset it and then take ownership of a lock. And so, they need to do that before they leave the house. And usually, you need internet to do this. So, they need to have the internet connected still. So, they moved out, they disconnected their internet, and then you move in. Now that lock is worthless to you, or the hassle, honestly, of getting it reset and put in your name is going to be more than it's worth. You're better off just going and replacing it. So, but you wouldn't believe how many times people just don't reset things or don't change the codes.
Yeah, right. And I think you had mentioned this to me before that, next thing you know, I mean, hopefully no one's doing anything nefarious, but you theoretically could have anyone then, having access, and it just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, so I've tested a lot of devices, and I actually had old camera that I wasn't using anymore, and I sold it to someone, and I don't think they did anything with it for the longest time. But then one day I was testing a different product from that same manufacturer. So I went to add it to my app. I opened up the phone and I could see this person's camera.
Mm.
Fortunately, it was a business and it was just like staring at a warehouse. I was like, why am I looking at a warehouse right now? So I messaged this guy and he's like, oh yeah, when I set it up, I couldn't get the app set up. So I just have been using it locally because it like records and he has a little station or whatever. I was like, oh, cool. So then I sent him a screenshot of his warehouse and he's like, what the heck? Like, all right, well, I'm gonna walk you through how to get this like changed over. So
Mhm. Well, Brandon, is there anything that you're particularly excited about that you think is coming down the pike that's new?
new stuff coming in. So robot lawnmowers are kind of the new trendy thing. Vacuums have come a long way. You get what you pay for with a vacuum. But now we're starting to see the infancy of the lawnmower and prices that are approachable. I mean, they've been around for a long time, but it was like $10,000. And like you could hire a landscaper or, the kid down the road for years for what that would cost. But now it's in that $2,000 price point and it's got the right sensors where like you don't have to bury a wire that goes around your property. So it's becoming more like user friendly.
Hmm.
I think as more manufacturers get into that space, it's going to keep driving the cost down. And once it gets to like $1,000, that's when I think we're going to see a lot more adoption of it. And you'll be driving down the road in your neighborhood, and you're going to see them going, and it's just going to be a regular thing.
Mm. Tell us about the vacuums. What's the best vacuum? You already said that you get what you pay for, which is interesting to know. Which, if you were going to buy one today, which one would you buy?
So I'm really big on the Robo Rock lineup. They're always continuing to innovate, and it's just a really good value. But just don't buy the cheapest. So what happens is people buy like some knockoff brand, or even they'll buy name brand. So they'll buy like iRobot, Roomba, very classic, like the Kleenex of the robot background. So people think that that is the one. And it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But the base level one doesn't have any navigation built in. So it just bumps around the room and it gets lost and it can't get back. It gets stuck. And, then it's not really a value add if you're always having to chase it down and save it. So spending a little bit more money and getting one that has LiDAR, which is just that little puck that's on the top. That's definitely worth it to me. It's maybe $100 more, or if you wait until it's on sale, then it's the same price. So you can get a really good system for like $250, and like that, it'll make the nice lines in your carpet, right? So it looks like you mowed your grass, but
Really?
yeah, and that it can avoid things. It's not going to avoid everything at the 250 price point, but it's going to avoid running into the couch. It's going to map your space out. And so for me, I think that's worthwhile. You can get it from like Roborock, Eufy, Shark even has one, but look for that little puck on the top. Then from there, the next step up is like self-emptying bins, so you don't have to empty that little dustpan as often. Then you get into mopping, which depending on your floor type, there's different options there. And then from there, the mops wash themselves. So like they'll go
Okay.
back and clean off and stuff. And that used to be like to get a robot that had that was like 2,000 something dollars. Now you can get it for like $800. So it's like,
Really?
oh, cool. So
Do
yeah,
they do
there
they have
more
one
advancements in
that'll
sensors.
they have one that'll clean up after the pets yet?
So it won't clean up after it, but it'll at least avoid running straight over, which is important.
So it'll avoid those landmines that are
Yes, yes. So
inevitably.
it uses AI actually. So object recognition, it'll approach it, identify what it is, and then back away and go around without touching it. And a lot of the testers will use fake stuff for that. It's just kind of funny, but I've just
Yeah.
been real world testing everything, and I can speak from experience that we
I was
have some naughty dogs, and
just imagining the inner monologue of the vacuum AI. Luckily,
yeah.
it doesn't have a sense of smell yet, I guess. So, okay.
We
But
joked that one of ours just killed itself because it just couldn't handle all the hair from our corgi.
real, oh yeah. So that is a really interesting point. So you've done a bunch of testing with, with dog hair, and that's always probably for us the biggest problem there is.
Yeah, so look for one that has the self-emptying bin and has a high Pascal suction rating, or if it has two brushes, that usually is better. If it just has one, a lot of times the dog hair is going to get tangled up in there.
Mm.
So what's funny is that some of the ones that are like advertised as being great for pets, that has like dog hair right in the title, are the worst at it. So go online. There's like guys like me on YouTube. There's quite a few actually. You can go really deep down this rabbit hole. Or otherwise, just message me. I'm happy to give you advice.
Awesome. Cool. We'll definitely share your YouTube channel link in the notes and your contact info. But Brandon, I appreciate you jumping on and sharing with us today, man. Great to see you
It's
as
always
always.
fun.
Yeah. Later, dude.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.